My period started acting erratically when I was in my late 40s. I assumed that this was time for the change. I had absolutely no idea what that meant, and I had absolutely no idea what the change would do to my body. I had heard women talk about hot flashes, and I knew one thing: I did not want them. I thought maybe I'd be one of the lucky ones. I talked with my OBGYN, and she said many women don't experience menopause symptoms until after menopause. But that was it. I wasn't given any other information. I wasn't given anything to look out for, anything preemptive, nothing, not a brochure, not a roadmap. And I wasn't offered a blood test to see maybe where my hormones were at that stage of the game. Well, not long after menopause hit hard, I was completely confused. I had no idea what to do. I was searching for answers everywhere. Now, interestingly, this midlife experience was in stark contrast to experience I had as a preteen. My mom brought home a pink booklet and a blue booklet. My brother was only 8, so I read both. I loved that pink booklet. It told me everything I needed to know about puberty, about what was going to happen. I still remember the graphic of the female reproductive system. I read that pink booklet every single night, hoping that I would wake up in the morning with blood-stained sheets. I wasn't scared. I wasn't confused. I felt that I had a roadmap. I had directions. I knew that what was going to happen was a natural transition. So, not long after, I woke up in my dad and stepmom's house, 3,000 miles away from my mom, with blood-stained sheets and pajamas. It only took me a few seconds to realize what had happened. I was really excited. I was finally a woman. By age 52, my menopause symptoms were becoming debilitating. The weight poured on with inflammation and bloat. Some of the symptoms were affecting my work. I remember sitting in a prospect's office, explaining to him why he should hire our marketing company with sweat dripping down my face. 30 seconds later, I was shivering under the air conditioning. This was not a good professional look. I was mortified. And no, he did not become a client. The hot flashes were cruel. I never knew when I was going to get one. Now, they didn't last long, but they were so intense. My husband referred to them as personal summers. And me, I just kept talking about moving to Alaska. We were living in Las Vegas at the time. The desert is not a good place for hot flashes. Oprah said it well in interviews in 2020. She said, "When I was going through it, there was nothing there was nobody. I felt literally like I was going to die every single night. Me, I wasn't sleeping. Night sweats tormented me. And my moods? They were all over the place. I was angry. I was crying. I was happy. I was sad. I was laughing. I had bouts of rage that simply made no sense. I used to pray that nobody would cut me off in traffic. I had absolutely no idea what my rage would do. But the hardest part was the weight. No matter what I did, it wouldn't budge. Having been an overweight and ridiculed kid and teenager, this brought back so many of my anxieties and my trauma and my shame about my body. I was deeply depressed. I truly felt like a failure. And then, with crushing menopause symptoms, I was diagnosed with estrogen-based breast cancer. To tell you that this terrified me is a gross understatement. I wasn't mentally or emotionally prepared. I put on a great act with my doctors, and then I would lose it on my husband. Yelling, screaming, crying, fearful, you name it. My doctors were awesome. They explained everything to me. They answered all my questions. My OBGYN was very supportive. They gave me brochures. They told me what I could expect and what was going to happen. I educated myself. I went through my surgery and my radiation with flying colors. And 5 years later, I could stop taking my estrogen inhibitor pill. It makes a difference when you understand what's going on. So I started thinking, why was I given so much information on puberty and so much information on my breast cancer? And here I was with debilitating menopause symptoms affecting my entire life, and I had no information. Nothing. You know, the United States is home to some of the best medical schools and teaching hospitals. People compete from everywhere to be accepted into our medical schools and our residency programs. Medicine does amazing things and continues to do amazing things. And yet, there is a stunning gap. A 2023 survey of OBGYN residency directors revealed that only 31% had a curriculum on menopause. Almost 70% did not. Now, a woman's first line of defense when she starts experiencing symptoms is usually her OBGYN. Yet, 7 out of 10 doctors are being trained with little to no structured education on a biological transition that affects half the human population. Women aren't talking to their doctors about menopause. They're not receiving effective treatment, even when it's impacting their daily lives. Midlife women often feel ignored, dismissed when menopause discussions come up with their doctors. They frequently hear something like, "It's just menopause," and don't receive effective options. And sitting in a waiting room with younger, pregnant women can make it even more uncomfortable. It's like the focus is on everyone but you. So these unanswered questions and this stunning gap led me to become an integrative nutrition health coach, to write a book, and to become certified as a menopause coaching specialist. I believe that women need to create their own map. Because when you don't understand your body, when you're feeling exhaustion, brain fog, hot flashes, night sweats, mood swings, rage, you start to think that maybe it's your life that's broken. You start looking for answers everywhere. Maybe a new job, maybe a new relationship, maybe a new business, maybe a new place to live. Big decisions, often made under the influence of symptoms we weren't taught to recognize or to deal with. And I think it's time that women stop thinking that we're the problem. That if we were just stronger, more disciplined, if we could just get back to the way we were, everything would be fixed. And when the professionals that you go to don't give you a map, because they were never given a map, you have to create your own map. So here are 3 ways to create your own menopause map. 1, leverage artificial intelligence. Do your research, ask questions, do comparisons. Almost all of us have AI available to us. And while it may not always have accurate information, it is an incredible time-saving way to do exploratory research. 2, tap into social media groups. Again, not necessarily the place to go for real hardcore information, but women's groups. Women are talking about this. They're talking about what works for them, what doesn't work for them. And if you're comfortable, join in the conversation. 3, be honest with your healthcare provider. Be open, honest, and aware that you may be more knowledgeable than they are. Ask them to research something that you're interested in. Bottom line, if they aren't open to that, you might consider finding another healthcare professional. Because when we have a map, we understand that menopause is a natural biological transition, like puberty or pregnancy. So, before you start thinking that something is wrong with you, find out what menopause really is. Menopause doesn't just affect your weight, your moods, your sleep. It can affect your life for decades. This biological transition affects your heart, your brain, your bones, your metabolism, your mental health, and the way you view yourself. When you impact half the population, you impact everything connected to them. That's not a vanity issue. That's a life issue. And midlife brings another question. Is this how I want to spend the rest of my life? Midlife women deserve better than that. We deserve a map to understand what's happening, where we are, and where we go next. Thank you.